see here. Wholeness family, what's what's going on? What's going on? It's another beautiful day here, and wow, let me see if I can get this thing to do something different. Just letting it breathe for a moment. I wanted to say wholeness and balanced vibrations to everyone in the tribe. It's been another powerful time. Let me see if I can get this light closer. Also, you know how we do this. If I am coming through clear enough, let me know. And then we could go ahead and get started. And beyond that, wow, I guess it's another rotation here in Infinity. Sitting at 41. And I wanted to come in first with the tribe. I got so many amazing messages. I guess I'm extremely fortunate this life to have made certain decisions about what I was going to be responsible for. Like I gave myself the responsibility of myself. I looked at my brothers and my sisters that were around me, and I wanted them to have something more. And I found out that was balance, that was, something that if we achieve, we're able to see the full spectrum of life. We're able to see how our energy is making things happen, like how when we choose to not only think different, but act different and do different things to cause a different effect, that we actually really become the magus, the master, if you may, of our own lives. And that's the most important thing, to be your own God. So also, I just want to say that this journey that we've been on, I'm looking like Darth Vader over here. Let me see this thing. Put the camera controls inside of the Instagram. I guess that's coming on the next update, right? It's like, come on, man, put the same camera controls from the device inside a device. Help me help you. That's a lot of this stuff, man. These people are gonna have to wake up and realize just the value in the human resource. Like, we're so powerful, just so powerful. Like, it's funny because I found out that one of the most powerful words in combination together, or letters in combination, were H and R. And I started just looking in the normal world, like, what's H and R? And of course, if you Google just H and R, you're going to get like the first company on human resources. And I was like, yeah, the code still holds. And, but, just the power of the humanity and the power and the love that we share with each other. I know, like, a lot of times when we talk about the power, we kind of think of it like this thing that's supposed to, change and manifest things in our lives, and it will. And it's just interesting now that I see how the power truly is when you're feeling attracted, when you're feeling charged by the environment that you're in and the people that you're around, when they give you a push and they get a push too. You know what I mean? And that's why it's always important to see that divineness in each other, like what that word namaste, the divine in me recognize the divine in you. It just really means, beyond, I guess somebody would have to figure out how to define divinity first, but it's just like saying, hey, I see this energy field that you're working with, and I recognize that energy field, and I'm going to give you what I need so you can give me, I'm going to give you what I need so you can give me what you need. And this is the symbiotic relationship. It's just like a tree, like we talked about the carbon dioxide and the oxygen. So my musings for today, because that's what I came in here to do. I don't even know, this can't even be really classified as GLM9, so I'm not going to do that. But I have some very powerful gems that I wanted to leave with everybody here and give to you. And also remember, the more gems you give that are really valuable, this is what they actually say is going on with you in the communication between, you know, if you want to call it the holy ones, the guardians, the higher beings or whatever, that what true offerings, which we call honorings, because this wouldn't be something to turn things off. So we're like, why are you calling it offering? And then we found out there was honoring, which is O-N, and a word was missing. So our honorings would be to give something that we receive. So for sure, my cup runneth over with knowledge and wisdom and application. So I like to give that. But I do refine it, because the same thing I'm giving to you is the same thing I would give to myself. So that's what that whole do unto others as they do unto you. It's like, make sure, you know, this is at the quality of what you will want to receive yourself, because you're going to get it back. And if you knew about the hidden world, then you would know that. So I wanted to start this by asking everyone here, and you could leave this in the comment, especially for y'all that really fast on the Google. What is the largest tree in the world? I'm actually going to wait for that. Wholeness Mom, I see you. I'm gonna wait for that. Like, what is the largest tree in the world? I just want you to type that back here, right here, real quick. You know, as it's stated, you know, obviously there's lots of musings about magnificent trees in the center of the earth. Lots of just opened up, dense foliage, animals that have never, you know, animals that we don't see anymore. Like, everything goes back within. So in this, for sure, inside of this big womb that we're in, there is everything that ever existed in its purest state. So someone says the oak tree, someone says the redwood. So at this stage, what we'll do is, instead of trying to find out like who's better than the other, because that's not the game we're playing, we'll just acknowledge that there's some very big trees here, and we give thanks. But I do want to ask you something that is the meaning of me wanting to know the answer to that question, which is, how big is the seed, though? Let's see if I can get some water in here. Thank you so much. How big is the seed? And when you see how big the seed is, then you'll start realizing what's actually going on here. Because imagine so much power and might being packed into something so small. It's like it's packing all of that up. Some of us sometimes in life, we can accumulate a lot of things. I realize that, you know, possessions, even as far as like having physical things, is nothing like having a lot of physical possessions of people. Like, you could get so heavy with a lot of physical possessions of people. And what I mean by that is that people you think you control and should do what you tell them to do, if you have too many of those, you're going to have a lot of weight. You're going to have a lot of heaviness. You're going to have a lot of, because, you know, obviously you're going to be so concerned about what they're up to and what they're doing. And they're on the ocean. We're all in a vibration, something that's moving, a wave. So they're going to have up and downs, and you're going to be going up and down with them. So the question is, you know, how big is the seed? Because when you start anchoring yourself to these maxims and these principles that we see have lasted countless, like beyond time, we see that it's saying that, hey, you can have a lot of weight, but just like I said, now you can learn and know a lot, but then you got to unlearn. You can pick up a lot of weight, but you got to go know how to put it down. And why? Some people need to have the whys, and that's why I was saying that that's what happened to me, is that once opening up the full chakra force, I just kept asking why, and I was getting the answers back, and it was turning infinite wheels, and I was on the brink of going crazy, but there was no lies that were being told. I was told exactly why. And I remember when I was younger as a child, you know, if you engage in that kind of question to your parents at all, like, it ends really fast with God. Well, why, mommy, does why? And why? And then only after 2 or 3 whys, your mom's over God, only God knows that. You need to go talk to God. So I was like, so how do we talk to God? And they were like, oh, through prayer. And I was like, so how do you pray? And they showed me how to pray. I went immediately and prayed. That's just like, I was trying to get to some answers here. Needless to say, you know, I did get an answer, but I didn't know it. And this is the result of when you're starting off in seed form. Like all of the things that I have done this life are only the seed form of what I'm doing and going to continue to do on massive realms where my ancestors and I are not disconnected. Like all of the maxims here, even if you look in physics, they're getting, like I said, I'm laughing because they're getting rewards for just saying what we've already learned in metaphysics about everything being together. That there being a super dense, super massive field at the center of the galaxy or the center of self, where everything is contained and birthed from there. Like these are things that we, that's 101. And then what? What comes after? Now what's after is like all these movements on the paths and how to travel the paths. They, in the big teachings of Kabbalah, they got all these, got the 22 paths. 10, 22, 78 is my birthday. It's like the 10 sapphire, the 22 paths, 78 cards. And just living in a life that for this moment on this roll of the dice is perfectly configured to know everything. Like, will you take it? Will you accept it this life, or will you wait until the next life? And that's another part of the musings that I want to give today. Again, I'm gonna bring it all around, which was what I was doing when I was younger, and what did I ultimately learn from looking at myself then, that I'm like, yeah, it was that really, maybe didn't allow it to go forward for you as fast as it could have. I have no regrets, but if I could tell somebody younger, I would say that even in a young mind, how you perceive quote unquote spirituality, it's nothing like when you're getting very mature and you learn a lot of things and you experience a lot of things, how you start seeing it all pan out in your consciousness, how it morphs your consciousness. Like, why doesn't God help the babies that are dying and being killed, right? For a young mind, this doesn't make much sense. It could drive one into an atheist. Like, why doesn't God, if all this power, just stop the war? Like, what's up with God? And then finally, if you can, make it to your life to where you realize that question is, what's up with you? What are you doing? Where are you at? Is there still an excuse? For not doing what you already know you should be doing? You're not learning anything. You're being entertained. What you should have learned, we already told you. This is your insides talking to you. We already told you what to do. But you don't want to do it. We told you to get light. If you're carrying too much, that's not even your responsibility. We all carry this together, if anything. But if you're carrying what other people are doing and you're being affected by that, that's not what we told you to do. What you do is you give as much as you can and as much as you feel is balanced. And you don't ask any kind of like, worship me because I told you. You don't ask for any of that. That's the honoring. You just get, that's the line. You haven't checked any boxes yet. You haven't started the accolades yet. Just the line is to do everything that you can for others that are around you. If they're graced with your presence through resonance, increase the vibration. Now, remember, though, in unconditional love, as we learned as parents, it doesn't always mean that you're just, here and, I forgive you. No, you can't work with children like that, or else they just run right over you. There has to be that, okay, which one are we doing today? So I was realizing that also, well, this is not a new realization, but in the realm of occultism, the only thing there is the L's and the I's. The L's and the I's. And as I was going deep last night, because I just did not want to go to sleep before it was my birthday, so I wrote that thing out in true tradition. And I was going deep and realizing, yeah, that is the double-edged sword once again, because as I mentioned, the double-edged sword is Arabic and Hebrew. We got a little friend over here want to say happy birthday. Come on, man. These are the V's that they're zero chill. It's like they will try to, I was like wondering all the time, this is a sidebar, what are these B's really trying to accomplish? Because they be like all in your face. So like here, you be like, don't kill him. Don't kill him. but they're trying to fly in your nose or in a hole because they're looking for a hole. So there's no way this bee is not going in your nose. So, you know, for y'all namaste folks that be like, oh, brother, I see you just troubled in nature. And I'm like, no, that particular bee, you know, you have to chastise him a little bit. But anyway, that was a funny sidebar. So, let me catch the wheel and the thread of my thoughts. As I said, this can't be classified as, oh, look, there's someone here. There's an extra universal cosmic hard drive that is able to put back the data. Great. Okay. So we were at the L's and the I's. Elia. So how this works is that the knowledge rolled out really in the language. This is why it says, and they said, let the Elohim, El is the male one, Im is the female, Elohim. So the basically the completed human being said, let there be light, right? But they're trying to explain to you this is something that came next because it says, and the evening and the morning were the first day. It doesn't say, and the morning and the evening is the first day. It didn't say that. It says the evening and the morning was the first day, showing that light came next. Darkness was first. We live in darkness and we create in that space. Now that we're in light, this is what we created. And when you don't know that, then you're not Elohim. And that just means that you have not yet grown the faculties, as you're like a tree that's now, first that little root comes out, right? And then the next little thing sprouts. All those are stages. And in those stages, certain things are coming to your awareness. That's why they said you're not even supposed to learn real Kabbalah or resuscitation, meaning not anywhere written. You don't know about this. You're not supposed to learn it until you reach over 40 in your consciousness. And that's what I was saying earlier about, see, my younger mind, it did understand what I thought. I thought it got spirituality, but it totally didn't. Yet, it got the seed germ form. And I realized why also that's so important. If you try to pour a depth knowledge on someone all at once, man, forget it. If it even gets applicable, that just go crazy. And this is the key to manifestation, is that you have to learn how to take your big projections and put them into the seed form first. This is why a baby does not come out as a full-grown man, beard and everything. It would tear up the mother. Your projections at times, if you're really projecting properly, are actually too big for this womb. But what you have to do, though, is you have to nurture them from baby. You see how this works? They're not going to just give you the complete projection already done. But they say, stop for the law. That's not going to happen. Because it's like, well, no. We're not just, the holy gift is you being able to create a child, but to finally see that child grow into what you nourish it with. Right? Like, these children are seeds. So if we nourishing them and we're giving them certain things, we're not going to see the results right then. You even will see some rebellion. You'll see some thorns and thistles. As you're tending the field. That's why I say with parents, it's like tending the field. You got to even chastise and, move around and cut off. And, I remember when they cut the TV. I remember my mom cut the TV off. I was like, we had a monitor. It's a joke like amongst, my immediate family about the monitor. Because the monitor was even locked up inside of a room that you could not get to. And so it was like, okay, if you go watch this, you're going to watch these films that are here. And, and that's how the shift was run. So what I'm saying is that there were things that we felt like, this is like chastisement. This is ridiculous. Why can't I just be free? And, if you have that kind of upbringing, you realize what that creates later on. So just like a farmer, when he's creating or she's creating these boundaries for different plants to be there, those plants technically want to break those boundaries, but there's a reason why those boundaries are there, and it allows everything to grow. And if you planted and nourished properly, then you will. This is not like something, infinity is not something that it depends on you to exist. I'm so glad. I'm so glad. Infinity, higher consciousness, expansion, orgasmic flow, all of that doesn't need people to believe it for it to exist. This is also why the most powerful things you still can't see. And I mentioned that before, but I'll go even deeper. So look, you can't really see the UV spectrum with two eyes. You can't smell certain things with this nose not tuned in. Like you said, you got to stop eating salt for like 3 months. It's like, I'm good. I'll use another faculty. But literally stop eating things that actually give you taste to actually get your senses turned back on again. So then you can even smell certain things that generally you can't smell. But because you can't see into that wavelength generally, you can't smell into that wavelength. I mean, smell into certain pheromones and feels that are right there. You can't say, I smell that. And it comes to your consciousness. This already shows you the limitation. It shows you that there's already a limitation present within the vessel. And because of that, you don't try to conceive the infinite. Listen to what I'm saying. You don't try to actually imagine that you're going to be able to completely perceive what the infinite is in a finite. You let go of that kind of idea. Now, you know you could go far. Actually, just you get excited then because you realize, yo, there's something even beyond all of this. So even anything that I could accomplish here, anything I could think up, backflip on, pronounce, vibrate, whatever, and create, there's still something even beyond this. So you should never really have this feelings and these emotions like, this is like you feel like you're going down. Okay? When I say you should never, actually, I need to work with those words because it happens. You know, it's like you're flying and then you start getting tired as you're flapping your wings and it's time to go perch. You know, it's time to take your vessel in and relax and cool down and stretch out and slow down, right? That's the unlearn. So in existence, what we've been doing is going to the heights and then bringing it back down. And that scares a lot of people. To think that they will go down again, it's terrifying for them. That's why they fight. They're trying to preserve what they have. Why not just get equipped to deep dive? And then we got those who are deep divers, they don't know how to fly. They're so sturdy and stable on that ground. They're like, man, I'm good. I got this down here. And I'm just saying that's an observation. That's a story. That is truly the tree of life. But to climb the tree and then to make the leap, you know, this is the realm of awareness that we're in now. So realizing that leap is a manifestation. It's not a guess. It's not a maybe. So spinning this back around to El and Aya, this is the left hand and the right hand. This is the double head swords. Okay? Swords are words. They cut in aether. This means that the film that's around you that you can't see, words cut seeds into that field, geometric seeds. And that's why you don't really see the results of what you're saying and what you're doing right away. If you nourish it, though, that's why if you sit in there also on some negative and some destroy, and you begin to nourish it and feed it, of course it grows. The vibrational frequency grows. And also it starts resonating and reverberating off of like anything else that's like that. So if there's music around, CDs around, as I mentioned, that are like that, paintings that are around that are like that, it starts becoming a point-to-point system for the field to start really manifesting. And it looks like stitching. It's just clicking. It just looks like stitching. And then it'll stitch and stitch and stitch in the aether until, like I said, because it's stitching with elementals, until it bursts a thought, a reason. Basically, then it just once it bursts a thought and a reason, it's actually pinging back to its original thought, its original reason, its originator. So if that's a person, then it clings on like a baby. And then that becomes the relationship between that thought or eidolon now manifest. So again, people are thinking that the thoughts don't do anything, but yeah, as far as an occultist is concerned, that's all there really is the thoughts. And to nourish the thought until it actually becomes full grown is the whole alchemical process. As we talked about before, the alchemy is the vessels that are in the body. Even alchemists form the vessels in shape to look like spleens, kidneys, livers, etc. when they were taking spirits, which are also thoughts, through their alchemical process. This is the spirits in trees. That's the anima mundi, the world spirit. How the great massive spirit, let's say, divides itself into different forms, and what part of the massive spirit is in that form. How is it expressing itself? So that's also the next stage and beyond, to be the expression of many things. And the training is that, again, all of our creations, all of our ideas, our children are that. And with this, and one coming to the realization of that and honoring that, you gain all things. You're tied in, you're connected. You're coming right into this awakening, or this basically taking this wool off of your eyes. Because here's another thing. Down here, for instance, let's say in matter, material, earth, which is an urn, a jar, a vessel, a container, right? So inside of the container, our consciousness inside of the body, there's a master knowledge. That master knowledge is that, well, if you're in the physical, this wavelength, they call it sometimes Malkut, right? This wavelength, it actually equals that, because of the other wavelengths, which you can perceive in your mind and your consciousness are also there, that you would never see them. That's the greatest power right away, the cloak, then the dagger. But the cloak of invisibility, you can't see them. You would never see them anyway. So even any kind of, let's say, quote unquote, magus, seeker, whatever term we want to give them today, that starts practicing to see something visually, is already in for a surprise about how this all works. If they never see nothing and they're using that to confirm their faith, then they will be of little faith. But if you know that you're not going to see it, I won't say never, because there are things you can see, and that's already, like, once you can see it, it's like, okay, and it's a vapor and a gas at best. This is already very difficult. You need to know what you're doing now with this kind of entity. However, just on the regular, they're thoughts. And how you perceive them is through feeling. First, feeling is our nose, emerging from the heart first, the nose. The number one sense, like if you think about, I talked about the totems and how certain entities were used to create Human Body 3.0, and we talked about the dog and the lion and their similarities. But that sense of the nose, so you know about the dog, but they haven't showed you where the lion is at. But the dog's nose and senses is so tuned, it can smell every single ingredient in something. It can smell when you have cancer in your body from the oxidation coming off the cancerous cell. That's how much the senses are from here. And that's the faculty that you're using to perceive other forms of consciousness. However, if you shift, because you have control over your vehicle in many states, but if you tell your mind, we're going to see it first. I'm going to see it. It's going to bypass the senses and go to sight. And then when you don't see it, even your feelings won't actually be turned on as much, because you're sending power into another faculty. So then you'll start like trying to see it, then you'll see it, then there's no confirmation. And then you start going on with this belief that there isn't a great beyond, that there isn't forms and powers and essences here that are ready for you to confirm to you that there is indeed something magical happening here. And I'm saying, once you feel anything and you realize what that is, that feeling is taking place in you. So it's actually turning you on to an awareness of who you are. So I trust that that's clear. I trust that this will be, because for me, a day, they call it the birthday, it's a moment in infinity. And I'm so glad to be here and at this stage of my life and to see the results of the decisions that I made. Now, I have one more thing for you, because that was the spiritual one. And, you know, yin must balance itself with the yang. Like, y'all got to stop playing this game, man. I'm telling you, man. I'm telling you, man and woman. Stop playing this game with this not figuring out how to balance out forces. It's the paths. Because you can look at one thing and you can want and want to have that and want to create that, but you didn't create this other side. Do you see how everything is created here? That's why we're talking about people are basically half magic because they only want half. So this would be like us bringing, you see how this is? This is all symmetric. You could cut this down half and pair it right up. All of this is symmetric. So if you don't have the other half, you can't create. So knowing what that other half is, like, it's not evil. Meaning that I'm saying directly what they've defined as evil is another tangent. But knowing where's that other half. So in our physical reality right now, it's about, like I said, let's get physical. Sovereignty. So here's the last bit of knowledge. So at 41, this life, I had the opportunity of seeing this America Online and Prodigy and the birth of the internet. Like the first time from that sound on a 2600 baud modem to dial in and to see that thing saying, you know, trying to connect. And then America Online, when they were charging, I don't know how much, they were charging like $50 a month for that. I mean, I was using other people's, but I'm saying I was there when this whole thing ushered in and it popped. And I'm sure there was a bunch of people then, even they say the Rothschilds were like, oh, this buy online? Why would people want to go buy online? They were Sears and Roebuck style. You know, you come in, you get fully fitted, and you know what I mean? That's what they felt like. People never will go online. We're online, right? So then, you know, there was no power that was taken from me that would not allow me to even participate in the most advantageous things. Let me show you something, because it's happening right now. Like everybody now, it's like they got their hand out. They want more. Give me this. Reparations, blah, blah, blah. And it's just all that kind of energy. And really, it's like, yo, you can get your own stuff. Because the technical ability to be able to register a domain then was as much as the same as it is now. You go to a registrar, you put your payment method, you buy the domain. So yellow.com, red.com, blue.com, neighborhood.com, me.com, smile.com, foot.com. All those were available. Nobody was getting that stuff. This is going to be nothing. What happened? Where was I at? Man, I think I was somewhere in between Jodeci and UTFO. I don't know. I mean, what I'm saying is that my whole concept of consciousness and what I should be doing was being directly influenced by the environment that I was in. And because there weren't beings that are around me telling me about, hey, this is happening and you could be a part of it, the boat went on. Now I'm here now and I have to use this stuff, but I'm telling you, if I just I used to have BentleyGT.com. I only bought it just because I was like, you know, projecting in my mind, I'm going to get this car, right? And, you know, I even let the thing expire. But what I'm saying is that Where are we at? Most of the time, as I explained before, like if you look in occult books, what they say the most about in relation to spirits are how to get them to not lie to you and to keep them from lying to you, to constrain them so that they don't lie to you. Now, here's what's interesting. Because there's a grand revelation that spirits pretty much manifest as only thoughts, especially because of their energy signature, and because they're disincarnate, so they just come through as thoughts. But what would these thoughts be saying? It probably would be saying a lot of lies. Especially since every occult book just says, hey, watch out, spirits, thoughts, lie. You need to learn how to shape them up and get them to do your bidding. So that is actually the foundation of much motivational speaking, is like how to get that voice out of your mind or get it to do something constructive. But just realize this, that your power is connected directly to your mind, and it's connected directly to your thoughts. But this doesn't mean that these thoughts are not something. They are something. And to start getting them under control and stop having your thoughts all the time telling you negative things. Now, the reason why I bring this up is because then I noticed this other phenomenon, especially as I started working on becoming successful, which seemed to be like I needed to fail a lot. Like, I mean, it'd be right, almost the deal is done, and then something stupid would happen, and then they just reject the whole thing, and all of it fall down the toilet. I just go through this all the time. And I was like, man, we used to call it the flux. It's like, man, why is something bad always happening? You know, really, just shoot, I got a whole list for you, Daddy-O. Like, if I show up to my old self, I'll be like, yeah, here's a whole list. First of all, you're dying. So, you know, you're kind of draining all your energy with that. Second of all, why are you building with these clowns? Like, just build it yourself. And third, that, you know what I mean? So there was a whole list. So there was a real reason, but I was sitting there, something's so good to know. And then, like I said, the mind, first of all, this thing has got a little time. I forgot there was a timeline on this. So then the mind, you know, of course, just goes into haywire, starts attacking you. Those are those spirits. The magus has mastered those spirits. That's also what meditation is, right? Notice how everybody's basically saying the same thing. It's just in a different way. Meditations is quieting your mind, basically getting the thoughts, taking the thoughts actually and starting to turn them into lights. That's advanced meditation. And then moving on from there. But this is that same thing, getting in control of those spirits. You know, some people want to banish them and get rid of them. You can clear them out and all this kind of stuff. The best thing is just become a trainer. Train your spirits. They're seeds. These are your kids. Your badass kids, as to say, you're the badass kid. You know, you need to now take it through the whole process. And then that also becomes simultaneous in life, how well you can apply this process to yourself. So now we got a full integration. And that's how our ancestors build. This is the kind of construct that they put together in their consciousness that we're in. And so at minimum, you have to be able to interface. That's the genuflect. You have to be able to interface to bring yourself into alignment, to realize what your purpose is, your uniqueness. Realize that, you know, this whole thing about perfection, the whole thing is imperfect. So if you're trying to accomplish a perfection and imperfection, it's all then about definition. You're perfectly fine the way that you are. But you need to come into alignment with yourself. These are the maxims that teach you this. So again, the reason why I brought this up so I could finalize here is, so every time something big was happening, I always had this thing in my mind that was saying something negative about it. Oh, you shouldn't be, don't do. Especially after a few things fell through. And I was like, you know what, man, I can't trust anybody. You get on one of those. I can't trust anybody. Nobody's really legit. I'm only losing money. I'm going to go broke. This is that thing again. And it's just going on in your mind. You may be sitting right across from somebody at the table and smiling, laughing, cheesing and everything, but thinking in your mind all these kind of things. So the reason why I'm mentioning this today is because, you know, today is your day. If it's my birthday, it's your birthday. Here's your gift. I don't want no cake. Bring me no damn cake. I don't even eat bread. It's about really getting to that next level where we eating these gems. Full on breastplate, you know, eat a stone, a giant eating stones. And so this is really about, you know, to finalize that story. So when all this stuff was happening, I was somewhere else. I was missing. I was even smart enough to have the thought, Seven, why don't you go and register a couple domains? Man, the domains ain't gonna be. We'll do it later. Same thing that happened when Bitcoin was 50 cents. I went there and went through the whole process right up to a point, and it got too complex for me. And I was like, man, I'll come back to this. I was gonna buy at least $1,000 worth. That was it. Like I was gonna spend $1,000 at 50 cents for $1,000 worth of those. That's way over $1 million right now. Where was I at? So this is why I'm mentioning this, is now that here we are again. The world's flipping, money flipping. They're scaling money. They're not doing this because they just want, like the U.S. idea, people in the U.S., you know, because they're in a cage, right? They're being abused and slaved. So they think shit is going to be used to lock us down more. And that's all, because that's all our whole mentality, period, pretty much in the U.S. Lock us down more. They're going to control us. So that's that big evil bird that they've been concentrating into over there. That damn near a dark owl at this point, that they keep consecrating this vicious raptor. That's why they love the rapper. They're the raptors. They're all in Egypt and Kemet. They were the raptors. You got to learn how to use that power and ability to feed the tribe. They only feeding themselves. So I'm just saying there's always this, from the mindset and environment that you're conditioned. Meanwhile, they over in South Africa flowing. They're over in Hong Kong flowing, spending the money, buying the land, basically free. They're scaling money. So this market is cryptocurrency is at 300 billion, right? And it's worth trillions, 8 trillion. And they're going to scale it that way. And mind you, just like I was sitting back there, not buying red.com, there are going to be people that are sitting here and they're going to be like, for every single reason, missing out. So I'm sending out an email. It's coming out at 11 o'clock today. Most everybody connected into the platform should get it. And I just addressed that. Why are we always missing out? Why are there no multi-million-dollar conscious beings that really are connected to the people and not just playing the game? You see what I mean? Like, you got to talk a certain way. That's the other thing. It's like, well, brother, there are people, man, come on, man. Like, I be on YouTube too. And I'm listening and I'm like, okay, well, Shorty can't eat no books, though. Basically, I'm like, well, still, we can say all the wise things. I think all the wise stuff has already been written, to be honest. Like, if you look at Confucius and stuff, and you look at the Proverbs, and you look at some of these haikus and poems, and they can get these African proverbs, but they can crush all your knowledge in one line. As I say, all is self. This is the highest maxim. As long the time you're going to be here is until you figure that out. That's, you know, they got maxims that just... So it's not necessarily about the knowledge. It's about what is the vibe and the energy that I feel coming off of you. Are you awake? Do you know what's going on around me? This expensive ass organics? Like, I got to go buy this stuff? Like, if I'm going to get better, where's the money? Where are we going to get it from? And like, you ask people for something. I think we did a little thing, fundraiser just recently. Just, you know, ask people, hey, if you want to contribute, go ahead and contribute. Like, this stuff is going to the platform. It's been going to the platform. We've been feeding the platform for 10 years. The platform's eating. It's bigger. It's great. And we're delivering. But then you get people that's like, I don't know what else they want to see. I've got to give them everything. I gave you a way to make money for free. I gave you a way to educate yourself about consciousness, spirituality. I showed you how to blend that back in with your finances. I also got the crazy, pesky, vampiric gods off of you. I got like shit. As the divine feminine masculine, I believe that, you know, the seed form is there. So now I want to grow it for sure. I definitely want to grow it. I do grow it, right? And I also am very patient. It's 10 years for me, right? I'm still, you know, I think I hit the 100,000, 120,000 subscriber on YouTube. Woo! I'm like, it's going to catch. But right now, what's most important is the beings it's catching with. The beings that are tuning into it. The beings that are saved, because they're going to be what upholds when the whole world comes to realize this. Like, time is wow. That's what I realize again about the whole thing, even with age, is time is like, that's the actuator. That's why beings learn how to manifest, put things in time, and then step out time. Because then it just, in time, it will grow. It's like farming. Once again, everything is still in farming. You plant this seed and you're not looking to go back and eat this thing tomorrow, but one day. And if you didn't have this limitation and thinking that only applies to fruits and vegetables, you will realize that's also your consciousness. So if you may not be super genius today, but that's why I do the best that I can for beings that are around me, because I know one day they're going to be right there because there's an ultimate vibration and we're all going to reach that. So one day we're going to be standing right in front of each other again. And it's just like, and that's the ladder. That's why we, descend and ascend the ladder. That's what I was saying before. It's like some cats don't want to take it down. And it's like, yo, behold, I saw the ladder coming up and down, the left and the right, the L and the R, the Hebrew and the Arabic, the Abjad and the Kabbalah. You see what I mean? Like, I saw perfection. I saw Elohim. I saw a male female combined. I didn't see division. I saw the evening first. Like I was in that womb projecting with light. And that thought was the light. That's why thoughts are light. That's the royal language. That's the royal code. When you're on the royal language, royal code, you're projecting actually in colors. You intone so you can actually think of a word and project it in a color. That's the ultimate efficient way of bringing things into manifestation. And then it goes into seed form first, and then you nourish that seed in the environment that you brought it into. And you don't look to see it with your physical eyes, but you can feel it. Your nose and connected into your heart. So I already know what's going to happen and how things are going to get on another stage. I already know. Like when I say trust the process, like for sure, because I'm in the human vessel, though, it doesn't mean that some days I'm like, oh my goodness, like I'm on the ocean, like that's the ocean back there. So I'm going to feel all the temperaments, the temperatures, and all of those things that come through the aether. And the true magician just knows how to put that stuff into balance within themselves. And I learn in that process because sometimes I blow stuff up. Like the weird scientist, just like, okay, don't ever mix those elements together again. That's like when you bring a certain person and y'all going on a vacation or whatever, and you got to feel your friends or whatever. You're like, shoot, should we bring Vic? Let's bring Vic. Shit, he's cool. We just met. All right, let's bring Vic. And Vic just wrecked the whole weekend. That's what we're talking about, is that understanding through the experience how to move the alchemy. And also giving others the pass at times are realizing, man, you may be a damn bush. You're a weed right now. And not the huge sequoia yet, right? Not the huge, boa tree, right? So I trust that everybody will have a great day. I'm definitely always having one, when I can get my mind in control, realize that I got some stuff planted. Like I said right now, you saw lastly, you're in that time again. When they announced, I told you, Peter Thiel owns PayPal, Elon Musk, they own PayPal, they own Facebook, they own Oculus, they own WhatsApp, they own Instagram. This is not hard to see, okay? So when they put all of the MetaMask and all that stuff out there, people get involved in cryptocurrency, they beta tested it because they're big on beta testing, big on support. And then now they just announced PayPal, big PayPal giant, the only one standing neck to neck with a Rockefeller right now, says, hey, because they're not a bank, they're an electronic wallet. Hey, we're gonna start accepting crypto. And Venmo was like, us too. We all the way up. And then some of them still saying back there already, it's already at you, Shaitan, and all the rest of the goons are like, oh no, man, trust me, man, this stuff, and you could lose all your money again, blah, 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 blah. And then you want to go spend no money anyway. That's when you got to check yourself. That's when you got to think, what's really going on in my mind? It's like I didn't even have any money anyway to put into this. So why are you telling me even any bad things? I wasn't even going to do it anyway. That's how you check your mind. I call it, like I said, you set traps for the devil. You can see, like, you weren't even going to do it anyway, and your mind's already running out there telling you why you can't do it. It's like, I wasn't even going to do it. That's how you got to perceive, wait a minute, that's not me. I'm here. This other thought, you're over there. And then you start coming into this awareness, and people like, man, that sounds like you're crazy. It's like, insane. Inside sanity. Actually really being able to do the sanitation that is necessary to clean out the vessel as we're going through hyperspace. We're accumulating stuff on our boat all the time, like barnacles. Bar is also the name for Saturn, dry, barren. You see, so that's what it is it's an infinite wheel. We get an opportunity for ourselves, if we can come into harmony with ourselves, to balance out all the powers and the forces, because everything that is to be known becomes known. You travel all the paths, and then you become unmanifest. That's that lesson. That's another master level up. Can you shut it all off? Can you go down and help those people? Can you get back to the hood? Are you visiting my prisoners? So we're running at full tilt. I will let everybody know wealthybot.io is working. You could jump in the chat. You could talk to folks that are in there. We have help docs first, though. We ask you to get educated, do something for yourself. You're going to become a bank. Don't sleep on the opportunity. It's going to keep going up. Now it's like it already hit 20,000, so that's the ceiling, right? We say that's the ceiling. The floor is 5,000. I still will say the floor is 9,000 for Bitcoin. Then there's a $5,000 floor down there with no momentum. The thing now with PayPal coming in, tons of vendors. It's basically like it's Cash App did it, but see, Cash App is not as big as PayPal at all. But Cash App's got, you buy Bitcoin right in Cash App, right? Which is, you got the electronic currency that you need right there. And then why everybody was still out on the fence about this? Why were they out on the fence? Because they were like, well, I need to spend it, because most people, they don't save money. They can't save money. They need to spend that money. It's like, I got to go to Amazon. I got to go to the mall. I got to go to, even for the grocery store. How can I spend this crypto in the grocery store? And it wasn't that easy. But with that being in PayPal, it's just above your PayPal card. So I'm not saying for you personally, oh, now you're thinking in your mind, okay, now I have a way to spend it. I'm saying stop spending unnecessarily and invest. And then as it's going up, hedge your profits, meaning start allowing those profits to offset things like your cell phone bill, rent. Climb like this, not like this. If you see a climber for the first time trying to climb like this, get away from him. He ain't gonna make it. Climb like this. So instead of saying, well, shoot, if I don't have $1 million, then I don't have $5,000 to put in there. Like, it's the art. It's a training that you're taking yourself through. And once you go through that, you'll be able to enlighten us. You'll connect. You'll vibrate something new into your field. Then you'll start finding, oh, shoot, I got these developers. Oh, they own a new project. Oh, shoot, they say just for my services of just doing X, Y, Z in graphic design, they're going to give me 6,000 tokens. Shoot, it mooned yesterday. Now the $6,000 is like $20,000. What is all of that? All those are the fibers of manifestation, like the wombs themselves. Like, how many ways can you receive abundance? How many lines do you have in the water? So that's the scalability of power, because make no mistake, as we keep going up, because we are, it's just like, hey, we go up, we're going up, and then we have a full spectrum. So all the way through the whole thing, you have somebody that can meet you through the process. But in all of that, it's like, we have to be able to still do what we're doing now more. So this means facilities. This means templates. This means manufacturing. This means institutes. This means all of those things, but I'm not over here like, okay, and I got some CAD designs. I'm going to be in this, building it. Just like today we finalized the Instagram integration with Secret Energy. So now you can share your materials just by pushing a button from your Instagram. It saves a step. Gamification's already in. Automated Wealth, that's the last reminder. Automated Wealth is Saturday at 11 a.m. on all the channels. This is the last one. I'm just going to give everybody the direct on how to utilize this, Instagram, Facebook, and how to create an automated wealth stream from it. And that's just all to you. Because when you succeed, we all succeed. When you vibrate higher, everything in your environment is going to do that, and everything's going to benefit from it. So I trust that the reverberations that I'm sending are felt. I'm going to go ahead and get in here today and see what I can get accomplished on the B date. And other than that, just sending love to the tribe and all of the amazing, heartfelt, I call it interwhelming responses that I got.